How's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, so you know what that means. That means that if you are watching this right now, in the moment, little red dot next to the play button, we are live. And today I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mangana Steel. How's it going, Sharif?
What's up?
And huge shout out to those that are already in the chat. Ian Coates says, "Mom, Dad." Is that a tri-state reference? I know he always does that. We got Oreo Dave in the house as well. It's good to see you guys. Ian says, "Don't worry." Wait, I gotta expand my chat. He says, "Don't worry. Used to ride, not starting for 10 minutes after the stream start time." Rollshambo and the real Sharif Manganas. Facts, man. Facts. I hope everyone had a fantastic Valentine's Day. You know, I don't know about what everyone else did. I had a wonderful dinner. I love cooking the dinner my way. And so we did steaks. I sniped out a few prime ribs, got them going, you know, made the gravy with the drippings and the mushrooms and all. Oh man, it was so good. And you know, a steak is good when you eat, when it's bigger, when it's more than what you should eat, but you eat all of it and wish there was more. That's how you know. That's how you know.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hey, we got Honey Bear in the house. How's it going? Also, Mind of Milton and Old Dominion EDC. How's it going, everybody? So, I'm kind of curious how everyone's feeling so far about the microtech standard issue, because I feel like they're playing games. If anyone's been following their Instagram, they will announce, "Oh, we just dropped more standard issues," but they drop like 3. They sell out immediately, and none of the other sites have them. You know, I would understand if, say, like Blade HQ got like, you know, 50, and Knife Center got like, you know, 20, and then eKnives got 100, and then they put up 100 on their own site, and they all sold out. Okay, you know what? That just shows the demand. But when you only release on your own site, which does not get as much traffic, and they sell out instantaneously, it's making me kind of frustrated, because I've got all my notifications set up, but you cannot set up notifications for Microtech's website. I joined their newsletter. They're not dropping anything on their newsletters. And so it's like, you have to be following their Instagram or you will miss, because they put up like 3 at a time. It's absolutely bananas.
Dude, and on top of that, they're like, even if you set up notifications for Instagram, it's so hit or miss whether Instagram actually notifies you about anything. So, like, dude, it's so the wrong way to drop such a hotly desired knife, you know?
Man, we got
guys.
We got Ian Coates correcting me. He said it's Ray. Said like Ray. I said Rye because RAI always comes across as Rye to me. I'll apologize to him in the chat later. And if you guys didn't know, the Ray that Ian is referring to is Everyday City Carry. And, you know, I watch his shorts sometimes, like his YouTube shorts, not his shorts. I watch his YouTube shorts. And just, the man does really entertaining stuff. If you haven't checked him out yet, make sure to go check out Everyday City Carry. Really, really good channel.
Yeah, he's a G for sure.
And he's big on TikTok too. And here's the thing, like, I tried to put content out on TikTok. They will ban hammer you so hard. Like, yep. And I think it has to do with the deployment of the knife. If you show knife deployment, all of a sudden it's dangerous acts or something like that.
Yeah. TikTok's guidelines and rules are kind of weird, because like they'll like ban people for gun and knife content, And then people will do like genuine deplorable stuff, and they're like, no, that's completely okay.
Look, I just want to know how it's dangerous acts for me to deploy a knife like it was supposed to be. Like, I could deploy it like this and boom, immediately flagged. But
Yep.
but some 14-year-old teenage girl can go on there and do like the worst dances ever. But that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes no sense to me. But I don't know.
China, man. Blame it on China.
Them and their weather balloon.
Yeah, right.
Supposedly that's what it was a weather balloon.
Uh-huh.
You know what I think it is? I think it's a distraction. They're like, send over the balloon while we do this other stuff, and they'll focus on the balloon, and then we'll get our actual spy plane in there, and they'll never see it coming.
It's just so funny to me in a world of satellites, and like, we got rid of the SR-71s because globally everybody moved to satellites. China's like, no, retrotech balloons. That's what we need.
Just fill it with hot air. That'll do it.
Right.
Man. So I don't know about you guys, but lately I've been really looking forward to a Gavco design, and I don't think it's been released yet. I think it's still in the pre-order stage or about to be released. It's the Civivi Spiny Dogfish, which is the worst name. And I'm trying to, like, I understand that a spiny dogfish is the name of a fish, and the Gavco's thing is like, you know, naming knives after sea creatures. But there's so many sea creatures you could pick. Like, it could have been the stingray, or you know the tiger shark.
Yeah.
Spiny dogfish. Like, I don't get me wrong, it's not going to stop me, and it's a very memorable name. Just look at that knife, though. That is beautiful.
That dope.
I love it. If I'm not mistaken, that's a compound grind. Big, deep finger choil right here. We've got the cutouts on the handle scales. Big old deployment slot. I don't even hate the pocket clip. And I normally don't like theirs. And it's going to be $58. It's going to be $53 if you use my discount code. Which, you know, for years I used Love Them Knives discount code, LTK.
Of course. Yeah.
And now it's crazy because I look at knives and I put them in my cart and I'm like, I could use my own discount code. It's crazy, man. But for some reason, he's calling this a reverse Tonto. It's like a Tonto reverse Tonto. Like,
I mean, I can kind of see it with the blade tip, you know?
Right, but with just the tip. With just the tip, yes. Yeah. But like, you go down here, and the moment it transitions from what I'm assuming is a hollow right here to a flat, that is a regular Tanto, but it's this part.
Yeah, see, I get confused, right? Because like, if you look at, there's another knife historically kind of like that. Grab it. This guy, the ZT0055, right? So again, compound, 2-stage, the similar sort of like tip angle.
You know what that knife looks like? It looks like the Hogue.
The Deca.
Well, so Hogue makes a knife that's like their SIG version, and they make it in both I don't know why I'm blanking on the is it the EX05? You could tell I've looked at this before.
Yeah, I know the EX series. I know which one you're talking about.
So they have a crazy, they call it a Warncliffe.
Mm-hmm.
But look at that.
Let me see.
This is a Warncliffe to them. So it's almost like they're challenging you. Like, say this is a Tanto. Say it.
Yeah, see, like to me, a Wharncliffe is that it's got to have a
Yeah,
continuous flat edge. Like
absolutely. Like
anything that isn't this, is
yeah.
not a Wharncliffe.
So for example, I've got one here. Many consider this a Wharncliffe. This is the Petrified Fish PF 929, but I think it's actually more of a sheep's foot because it's got the belly.
But you know what differentiates that for a sheep's foot for me is the pointed tip. Like I would call that more of a reverse Tonto, because the nature of the sheep's foot was that it had the sort of curved nose to it, so that when you were castrating sheep, there would be no sharp tip to kind of stick into the sheep's unders, and the sheep wouldn't kick you in the face. So
That makes sense.
yeah. For me, a sheep's foot has to have like more of this kind of tip shape, like that. Something a little bit softer, less of a point.
So, question for you: is it just me, or is Kershaw making a comeback this year?
Dude, I want a live wire. Somebody get me early access to a live wire.
They're all sold, man. Like I looked, the only way, so like they're all sold out. They've already dropped the live wires and they sold out like that. They even snubbed a lot of creators that have decently sized channels. I know that some of the people we know reached out and said, "Hey, can we get one to pass around? Can we get a review unit?" And they're like, "Nah, we don't need you." I think they literally told Lefty that they don't need any help and that it's already popular enough. And that's crazy. Wow. Man. I'm sure they said it in a much nicer way than that, but that's basically the gist of it. The live wire,
kind of arrogant.
For a company that's been like edging towards obsolescence for the last couple of years, I think that's it's pretty bold. But if you go to Knife Center, if you want to guarantee yourself one, you can always go ahead and do their whole pre-order thing. And so what they do with that, they call it a pre-order, but what they do with that is that, like you give them all your info, and then as soon as it comes in, they send you one. So you're basically reserving a spot, and it tells them how many they're going to need to order, which is pretty cool.
And do you pay the full price up front, or
it's a zero down pre-order? So I believe you just pay that when they ship it to you. But that's also kind of tough because if you're working on a tight budget, right, you don't necessarily know when that's coming in. And so all of a sudden you could go from, $0 to $230 like that because all of a sudden it came in. That's the only thing that I don't like about zero down pre-orders or pre-orders where you don't actually put the full amount down is that you don't know when they're going to pull that money. Even if they give you an estimate, you just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's a tough one. I really dig the live wire. I'm also a little hesitant because I wonder if they're going to come out with, let's say, like an all black version.
All black would be pretty sweet. If they do, I want DLC. I don't want PVD. I want DLC.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right.
PVD scratches way too easily.
PVD looks good when it's brand new. Let's be honest. Right. DLC though, like I've got to say, not all DLC is created equal. Mm-hmm. I think that Spyderco does the best job with their DLC. Absolutely. As far as look and fit and finish. And I love it when people are like, "Oh, how did you get scratches on your Spyderco?" And I'm like, "Oh, those aren't scratches." It's literally going to take material off of whatever you rubbed it up against.
Yeah, dude. Spyderco's DLC is absolutely elite. It's the best in the game. There's no question.
So after our live stream last week, I thought of a question that I should have asked you because you might actually know the answer to this. Ooh, okay. And for those of you who are just joining, or for those of you who didn't know, Sharif here is a very good knife designer. He's got many models out that we all cheese over. And so, for example, the Kubi Momentum, People love that knife. The Veloce, people love that knife. So with that in mind, with your experience as a designer in mind, why is it, do you think, we don't see anybody using Spyderco as an OEM for USA made knives?
To my knowledge, Spyderco does an OEM. They are simply like kind of like Kershaw ZT. They're or even Benchmade. They're an all in-house operation, and it's to their strength and their weakness, especially Spyderco, right? Because like Spyderco does so many freaking sprint runs and like, exclusives, be it like St. Nick's, Cutlery Shop, like whatever, Blade HQ. So like that extra manufacturing overhead allows them to do that. And then they can sell a million PM2s to the guys who just only buy PM2s,
The ones who have like the 10 PM2s.
Oh,
I can't do that. I can't do it, man.
Exactly, right? Like, look at the guys in Millennium, like PM2 Club, right? Like, they'll literally open a freaking Apache case, and it's just all the PM2 variants.
See, but that's an easy decision every day. Like, oh, what do I carry? It's going to be a PM2.
Right. Like, it's such a strange thing. Oh, so is it going to be the K390, 4V, like S30V? Like, dude, just pick a badass steel and be done with it. You know what I mean?
LMAX. Pick LMAX.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
But to their disadvantage, I would say like they could potentially expose themselves to like new designers, do some more stuff for Made in America, and that's what they're missing out on,
So that's kind of what I was thinking. However, I know that Kershaw has offered OEM services before for USA made knives.
Okay.
But I heard that there were issues. And keep in mind, this is hearsay. Like, I don't know if it's fact or not, and I don't want to blast anybody, but I heard that one of the reasons why we don't see a whole lot of, or too many rather, USA OEMs is that once that company gets the product out, there's a lot of fit and finish issues. Things like lock bars not engaging at all, or the detent ball wasn't included, or so on and so forth. But I have heard that Kershaw, at least in the past, has been open to some OEM stuff. Based on how they're starting the year off, I mean, like they're doing a fantastic job of slowly changing their image through big hits. And we touched on this last week, but I honestly think that I don't think they're making almost anything on this live wire. I think that this knife is all meant to change the image of their brand. Because this knife doesn't scream Kershaw to me. Like this looks more like a microtech, and I know that's kind of corny to say. But these lines seem more like a microtech. But that's not a microtech price.
Yeah, thank God for that.
You're telling me. All right, so I'm going to hop into the chat here real quick. I think we got a lot of activity going on. Mr. Other Than Intended Purpose just popped in, said just popping in to say, hey, got a raid in 10 minutes. Kind of reminds me, we haven't done a channel raid in a couple weeks. We might have to do one of those today. Then we got Demonoc 13 in the house. How's it going, brother? Dwayne Letterman, El Cap Addict, Mike Reese, EDC Knife and Tool says, yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going, man? Todd Carr in the house. And I know I'm probably missing people. Forgive me. I will try to shout out everybody as I see you pop in. Oh, yeah. Alpha Prime EDC. How's it going, man? We're just talking knives. It's kind of what I do here. And very fortunate to be joined by Sharif tonight. Sharif, you got 2 channels. Now, I know what the other channel is, but why don't you tell everybody what your other channel is?
Yeah, so there's the Real Sharif M, that's the knife and car and whatever stuff channel. The other one, if you guys are into F1, and motorsports, it's called Object Passion Motorsports. And it is a small channel, but trying to grow so desperately.
That's this one right here.
Yeah, you get to see more of my stupid face.
You know what? One of the things that I love, because originally that's how I was introduced to your content, was through a channel raid. And when I started watching your videos, I was like, thank goodness another person that's willing to do like a third person face-to-face view, because I like doing the over the head view of videos, but I feel like it's so numb and it's so overdone. I like mixing it up. I like having the ability to have that connection with the content that I'm watching, and also with the content that I'm making. I think it's really easy for us to forget that, people come for the knives, but they stay for the people that are making the content. And then there's Nick Shabazz, who only ever jokes about showing his face, but to this day has never showed his face.
Dude, I don't know. I think it has to be authentic to you. And one of the things, like, I'm definitely like a very introverted kind of guy in general, but like where I feel most comfortable is in conversations, like one-on-ones or one-on like a small group of people. And I wanted my content to kind of reflect that for sure. I started doing those top downs, and like, dude, I felt so bored even looking at my own content. I was like, dude, let's just have a chat.
Look, you got to be engaged. I've tried a few videos that were only top down, and like no front facing intro, no nothing, and it felt off. I'm like, because I've had some comments in the past where people are like, oh, 3 minutes in, he gets past the intro BS. I'm like, okay, well, if that works for you, I get it. But for me, like, I've got to enjoy what I'm doing. Hey, we got Kevin Stewart with the $9.99. Thank you.
Sweet.
Appreciate it. But yeah, if I'm not engaged, I'm not doing it. I can't do only that. I've got to have some kind of connection with the content,
The worst thing is editing your own stuff and putting yourself to sleep, which I've done a few times. I'm just like,
I've done full deletes on content that it was complete. Like, I've done full deletes where I'm like, nope, this is not it. I'm going to redo it, because if it's putting me to sleep, I'm not gonna put YouTube through that,
Right?
I've got to like it.
It's definitely the right call, I think.
All right, so, but yeah, man, we kind of got off topic there. We were talking about the Gavco spiny dogfish. This is what I'm excited for, because its manufactured advertised price is $58.50. I think even at $68, I think that's a fair price. G10 handle scales, 14C, and civivi does a really good job on their fit and finish.
Definitely.
And Gavco knives are always badass. Like, I don't think I've seen a Gavco knife where I looked at it and I was like, you know what, that's not for me. He makes knives that are attractive.
Dude, do you have one of the Great Whites?
I do not.
This guy?
That's the one with the carbon fiber, or is that the...
This is the black micarta with the blue and the blue liners.
Ooh, nice.
You want to get your hands on it?
I would. Absolutely.
Show me your address. I'll send it to you.
You're the man, Sharif. I've actually been looking at these recently because White Mountain Knives has all of them. You can get the Stormtrooper one. You can get one with the carbon fiber This is the one I'm pretty sure you just showed us, right? Blue collar micarta.
Yep.
$70. AR RPM 9. At least they don't give us an HRC. That's okay. We'll assume they do a decent job on their own metal. 3.3 ounces liner lock. Blade length it's not a small knife. It comes in just shy of what, 4 inches, just over 3 3/4.
Yeah.
Oh man. The one thing that keeps me away from knives that have recurves is sharpening, because I always sharpen my knives, and you have to be able to hit that recurve. What do you do for sharpening a recurve?
So I can actually show you real quick.
Do you have like a rod specific?
No, I don't, believe it or not. So a lot of times, just for myself, I use the work sharp, right?
That's what I got.
And what I tend to do, so let's grab this guy right here. When I hit the curvature here, instead of laying flat, I'll just pick up the edge. I'll just kick it over just a little bit.
I see.
And that'll allow me to hit the whole curvature. And it's been consistent. I've done my Graziosos with a recurve like this. I have a big Emerson with a huge recurve. This guy, no problem.
Fantastic. I have that same system and I love it. I modified mine a little bit instead of because when I bought my Precision Adjust, they didn't have the Elite series with the extra rods and things. Like, it was just the single with the 320, the 600, and the ceramic, right? And so what I did was I took some lapping film and I laid it on the ceramic, because you take that sticky sided lapping film, and on Amazon for like $20 you can get everything from 1,000 upwards of like 30,000 or 100,000 grit. Really, really good way to get a mirror polish on your knife. So if that's what you're looking for, I highly suggest lapping film.
Hell yeah.
So good. I'm gonna have to try that though, because I have a Fox 599 Karambit, which is it's fun to carry it because I fidget with it. It's not a knife that I use seriously, and that's my guilty pleasure. Is sometimes I have knives that like I like them because they feel good in the hand, but when I go to use the knife, that's not the knife that I'm using, right? But last time I went to use it, it wasn't sharp. It wasn't like
don't say.
You know what I mean? Like, are you what are you using that knife for though? Like, are you tearing up carpet? I guess you could open up boxes with it pretty good, but
great for opening up boxes. Honestly, this is one of my few, like, if I'm going to a really shady place, this is coming with.
So if I'm going to a shady place, I'm bringing this guy, because
fair enough.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't even have to deploy this. If someone comes at me, I can hit them with the flat of the handle scales and it's over. Like, this thing is brick. It's a brick. I can throw this. But the ironic thing is that Karambits are often, they're marketed as these self-defense knives. And for people that know how to do Kali, I think that's what it's called, it's very effective because it plays into like the routines and everything. Yeah. But for the rest of us, exactly. But for the rest of us, you're better off with a knife that gets more reach if you find yourself in a self-defense situation. And I live in a city. If I need to protect myself, I'm not reaching for a knife. I'm reaching for a pistol, because
100% of the time.
I'm not playing around. It's the one thing I don't like about living in the city is that you do have to take into consideration those situations.
So my like more kind of like worst case scenario that I actually carry more than the Karambit is my Emerson Elvia.
Okay.
Also big recurve, because this doesn't require training. This is just like a cat's claw, you're just, as quick as possible. But to your point about reach, that's where also that guy comes into play.
There you go. Emerson, like a lot of people forget that Emerson is this big self-defense type of guy. I feel like knife designers have changed over the years because, for example, we've got the Yojimbo 2 designed by someone that does self-defense. We've got, Emerson knives. And I feel like somewhere along the way, it's really, really changed. And I think it's changed for the better. And for anyone that can hear the stomping above me, my upstairs neighbors are just reminding us that they are, in fact, there.
I have mixed feelings on this, actually, this exact topic. And it's one of the reasons why believe it or not, I design my knives the way that I do, because I really saw, particularly with the release of the Bug Out and with the popularity of Nick Shabazz, actually, a massive shift in the industry away from anything that had any sort of defensive capabilities, right? And like I agree. A knife is a tool. It shouldn't be, used for violence, or really, unless you have training, it's less ideal to use it for self-defense purposes. But at the same time, I feel that growing up in Detroit in the 80s or 90s and predominantly living in cities, I feel a lot more comfortable having a fallback plan and not needing it than not to have anything at all.
9 out of 10 times when I convince myself to buy something, the logic I use is, well, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? That's my sales pitch to me, and it works 90% of the time. It works 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of Warncliffs, I know we've mentioned the Yojimbo. This one's on loan to me from a work buddy right now.
Yes.
And this one is so different than my other Arcane. Beautiful knife. Yours is pimped out, man. You got that's Zerkatai, right?
Yes, it is.
See, I always want to go for the top model, right? But then you look at it and you're like, well, I mean, if I could live without the Zerkatai, I could save $300. But then after you do save that $300, it gets there and you start realizing this would have looked really good with the Zerkatai. And that's how it happens. But this is not, so this one is not mine. This one is the Damasteel. And it's still bougie, man. Like it's bougie, but it feels and it looks premium. And it's the problem when people lend you knives is that, like, especially when they have something that you were considering buying, it's 10 times more easy now for me to buy this knife, having handled it.
You need one in your life, dude. These things are. I want a second one so that I can keep this as a safe queen and have that second one as a user. I'm not even lying. This thing is one of my favorite knives.
So let me ask you a question real quick. Have you ever been in a situation where you were on the fence about buying something and then you bought it, and then afterwards you were so grateful that you did? While we're on the topic of Warncliffs, because this is what happened to me. The Jason Grant gripper. And this one has the custom brass backspacer that he made himself and sent to me. I watched the pre-order for this happen, and then the pre-order sold out, and then he did, and then he had some left over, and at the time I was like, well, I mean, I ended up having to sell some pieces to get this, because at the time I was flat broke. And so I let go of some pieces so that I could buy it. And then I found out he's not making any more of these. Like, he's making the mini gripper, he's making the tripper, but he's not making any more version 1 Grant grippers. And I love this knife. This knife, there's always an excuse for me to find a reason to carry this knife. And had I skipped out, I wouldn't be able to get them, because for a little bit you could find them on the secondhand market, but they were being sold basically for what he ended up selling the last few for, which was like $300. And yeah, like this is my Wharncliffe of choice.
That's a dope knife. There's no question.
You kind of
okay. The one knife that, so I'm very, nowadays in particular, I'm very selective about the knives that I pick. I mean, last year I bought a total of 4 knives. Like, that's it, right? And one that I really spent a long time second guessing was this guy, actually. And this is really unexpected for me. But the Giant Mouse Ace Nazca, okay? Historically, and I made a video about this, I hate Giant Mouse designs. Like, I genuinely do. And it's because they, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're Europeans with small hands that design knives for dudes with small hands. It may be controversial to say, but statistically, actually, Europeans do tend to have medium size hands more than Americans do, you know?
So it's really interesting you said that, because I have one Giant Mouse knife in my collection, just one, and it's a fixed blade. Do I even have it up here?
It's the GMF one, the sheep's foot. Yeah.
Well, no, so it's the GMF 3. It's like the regular straight back version with the micarta handles.
Not the one I expected. All right.
When I bought it, I thought it was bigger than it was, and it came in, and I was like, "What do you mean I actually have to put a lanyard on here to get that extra grip? Like, this is a fixed blade." And I get it; it's supposed to be like an EDC fixed blade. But I mean, look, if I'm carrying an EDC fixed blade, I'm carrying this guy.
Yeah.
You know, this is my Skyraider Knives Banshee. Absolutely love this knife. Little company that not a lot of people have heard of, but it's one of my favorites. I look for excuses to carry this too. People think I'm crazy when they actually know that I'm carrying this. Like, what do you need that for? I'm like, you have something that needs to be cut?
Exactly.
Or like hammered. I can hammer with it. All right. Ian Coates says,
I'll be honest with you. Yeah. This thing, I literally spent like 2.5 months second guessing the purchase of it, because it was just like, you know what? Every time I had a Sonoma, I had a GMF1, I even had a Biblio, and I either sold or returned all of them, just because like the ergos were so horrible for me. And then Stevie from said faction, he you know, or said Stevie also, he told me that this fit his hands, and dude, it fits my hands exactly perfectly. And you have Bestech's approach to the axis lock, which is really strong. And it's the strength of the axis lock on Benchmades has been my #1 complaint. This is, believe it or not, I'm anti-fidget knife. This is my fidget knife and user all in one, man. They nailed this thing.
You know, that's a hell of an endorsement right there. You know, so it's really interesting you said that, because I was this close to buying a Giant Mouse Knives Biblio, an Ace Biblio, because I legitimately think it's an attractive looking knife. And then I saw a size comparison and saw how small it actually was. I'm like, No. Look, there's some small knives that I adore, that I love, and they're fine being small knives. Like, for example, UTX 70. This is cute as hell. Okay?
Yeah.
Especially with the Hellhound blade.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
It's adorable, but it's still a real knife, and the fact that they can make an OTF this small is it's bananas. And then there's some knives where I'm like, no, that design really would have been better if it had been bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit.
Sure.
Because there is a ton of stuff going on in here. Old Dominion EDC says the Yojimbo 2 is useful to end the attack. The Emerson is useful to end the attacker. I like it.
True.
What else we got going on in here? Crispy Critter in the house. How's it going, man? And then we got Kyle Connors. Just trying to make sure I see everybody that's here. Mr. Double D's in the house as well. Gone a ride. How's it going, man? But yeah, so this is another one that I didn't buy. I could never buy an OTF this small because I couldn't take it seriously. And this is an expensive novelty for me, right? This was part of the big old case that was lent to me with, a couple $1,000s worth of knives in it. But it is a really interesting conversation piece, as in, how useful is this knife? Obviously it's got a real cutting edge. The action is snappy. It's extremely light. I could see this being useful for, a gal that works in shipping or in the warehouse.
Yeah.
This is not what I would give to my lady for self-defense. If she asked me what she should carry for a self-defense knife, I'm handing her the Spartan Harsey folder.
Oh, I want to try one of those so bad.
This is another one that was in that case. This one's the join or die.
Oh.
And
so sick.
The one that I want is the Plague Doctor.
Yeah.
I can find the Plague Doctor. But I was watching I believe it was one of your videos where you were mentioning how a lot of people mistake this for a front flipper.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually just knife design. And the ironic thing is I didn't even really think of it as a front flipper until you mentioned that. And now I find myself front flicking it. I'm like, well, that's not what it was meant for. But I was thinking, glass breaker application, yay or nay?
I mean, it's not a fine enough point, I would say, but if you needed really to smash something in, why not? Go for it.
So recently, oh, that was terrible. Let's try that again. There we go. Recently, every time we start surfing these manufacturers, I always end up looking at a Curtis Custom. And I've always had my reservations. And Old Dominion EDC, I think he's still in the chat. Shout out to him lending this to me because I've never actually seen one with the flipper delete before. And the flipper delete is where it's at, man. Purely, deployment slot oriented. I think that's the way to go. And there's something, it almost feels like a ratcheting mechanism, even though that's not what it is. But this guy, super, super impressed with it. And here's the thing. These still have the same problems that they've always had because it's one man making these knives. This one has a little bit of lock rock, but I did some research and some people are able to dial it in based on the pivot. So based on how tight they make the pivot, it goes away or it doesn't. And I got to say, I don't care about the lock rock. I want one of these. And I love the story behind the maker. He's a one-man army. He does it all himself. He outsources out for very, very little. All the grinding he does. He has a CNC machine. Man.
Dude, yeah. Does that run on bearings?
I believe so.
Throw some skiffs in it. That'll help cure the lock rock.
Well, it's not mine. But when I get one, because I will get one. We'll see. Right now, I've been tempted because, like White Mountain Knives discount, right? So right now, they do have at least one on here. It's this guy. But here's the thing. I don't like this color.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like I'm getting like swimming pool, bathroom teal.
Yeah.
And maybe it looks better in person, but there's a reason why this has not sold yet. It's the color. This has been on this website for a very long time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no.
10% off, save $70. 70
Dude.
In MagnaCut.
And that's such a good price for a full custom in MagnaCut. Like, I don't think people truly understand how good of it. Like, you can buy a mass-produced Shiro for that price.
So here's the thing. Curtis Customs calls his knives full customs. But because the definition is so widely debated, because some people say, well, it has to be 100% done by hand and you can't outsource anything. And others say, no, as long as it's all done by the same person. I think that this is, if we go by the most widely accepted term, because I think that he does outsource for a few things, a few small things. And I do think that he uses some 3D milling on some things as well. I believe that this would fall into the mid-tech category by most people's definitions. But he willfully says on his website, he's like, I call it a full custom because I do everything. I did my homework.
For me, like, mid-tech has always been, you outsource majority of the processes and you do the final assembly and tuning yourself, right? Anything that is more like, if you're hand grinding the blades and even if you're using the CNC and doing the scales and stuff like that, like that's a custom to me, like a Grimsmo Norseman, right? Like, just because you use a CNC doesn't it. Well, right. Even a better example would be like Jen Zonzo, right? Like, he has a CNC, he does a lot of CNC work, but like, he hand grinds the blade, he does all the assembly, he does all the CNC work. Even if he's getting the blades water jet cut, like, I don't think that takes away from all the rest of the work he puts into it.
That's fair. You know what? And that's fair. I'll say this, because to me, like, I've held a few customs on my channel, not many, but I've held a few. And customs are never perfect. And I actually love that about a custom, because like some knives are over manufactured where they just feel too clean, like, and it leaves you feeling a little numb to how much work actually went into making that product, because everything's perfect, right? The tolerances are dialed in. Everything is like perfectly chamfered and symmetrical. On a custom, you're getting a piece of the maker. When you get a custom, something that was made by one person that went through all those processes themselves, it's not going to be perfect, because the person behind the design was human, not a machine. You might have a bevel that's a little bit off than the other side. You might have a spot that is a little on the rough end that, maybe they missed when they were going through it. And I go down the rabbit hole on this, because I think in my head, when I feel an imperfection on a custom, first thought in my head was, well, maybe he got in a fight with his wife that day, and he wasn't thinking clearly, and he was using it, like he was going over the knife without a clear mind, and maybe he's got all this other stuff going on, but the person is always in the knife. And knives are storytellers, especially customs, used knives, and I think that that's something that is easily looked over when you know, a reviewer looks at a knife and says, well, I mean, this feels unfinished, or this doesn't feel like they really paid enough attention to it, and they could have done this and they could have done that. I'm like, remember, this is a person we're talking about, not a machine. And just like nobody's perfect. Everyone has those off days. Everyone misses things. And I think it's those imperfections that are actually endearing on a custom, where we might not be so tolerant on something like, for example, I don't want to see those imperfections from We Knife Company.
Right.
Because that's their manufacturing process. I think can I get, there we go. This is another one that was in that case. There was so many goodies in this case.
Dude, the Thug XL is dope.
Matt Christensen, hell yes.
Yeah.
Love this design. But I just find it ironic, the dichotomy between what will we accept on a custom and what will we not accept. Like, if that same thing happened on a $300 production knife, but we're willing to be okay with it, you know, on a $700, arguably mid-tech custom, whatever you want to call it. It was made by one man.
Yeah.
But Old Dominion EDC is in the chat. He said, yes, it is bearings. Thank you for confirming. And he said, Curtis's greens leave a lot to be desired. His blues and golds are beautiful. I agree with that. Absolutely. Pretty fly for a knife guy in the chat. How's it going, man? And then we got Mikey Micarta. Man, talk about a good knife / EDC themed name.
Oh yeah.
Man, like, Mikey, where were you when I was picking my channel name? Just kidding. Oh man. Kyle Connor says, is that seafoam green? Yeah, it reminds me of early 90s swimming pool locker room green.
Mm-hmm.
I like that pivot though.
Yeah.
The combo, not so much.
Not as much. Yeah. So there is a very interesting theory that arose years ago that deals with exactly what you're talking about with custom and handmade knives versus like factory, like mass production knives. When electronic music was kind of becoming like super popular and getting established into like the global music scene, a lot of people were noticing that people were not having emotional reactions to the music. They would have emotional reactions to memories that they had while listening to that music, but were not having that, like, you hear this composition and you suddenly break out in tears kind of effect. And what they found was when you listen to something like Beethoven, Vivaldi, etc., and it's reproduced by an orchestra of people, that there is microsecond variations of when the person is supposed to hit the note. They're either a little bit early or a little bit after. Versus if it's made on an electronic like drum machine, it's always precisely on the exact moment. And those little micro variations are what engender emotional bonding to a piece of music and even products.
See, that makes so much sense though, because like, it's easy to feel like this knife has character because it's not numb. It's not perfect. It's exactly the same way that I feel about my Strider AR-75. And even though that one has, you know, Medford's manufacturing in it, it's also not perfect. And the more I get to go down this rabbit hole, the more I realize that might actually be intentional. Like, these guys have been around the block. You know, maybe it's not just that they're lazy and they understood, hey, you know what? Every time they go to reverse flick this Strider, they're going to think about us. They're going to feel that. They're going to build that emotional connection because it's going to start with pain.
It's funny, when I was in design school, I did an entire project where I focused on intentional asymmetries, because I said, like, if you look at like a car, all the lines line up, everything is perfectly, kind of assembled, and that makes all cars look the same, which is what people say about cars nowadays. But if you have things ever so slightly off where they should be, like they did in the 50s and 60s, right? That's when people last felt really emotional. Like they'd see a car and be like, oh, my heart, like when's the last time you felt that way about like a modern made car?
So I was driving the other day, and Denver has a really big car scene. So not as big as LA. LA I think probably has the biggest car scene due to the import, or one of the bigger ones. But Denver is a bit of a sleeper town when it comes to cars. I was driving and I got passed by a Lamborghini Huracan.
Ooh.
And you can't not feel that because it's so loud when like they buzz you. They go like I felt that in my chest, and I'm like, I need one of those. I need to find a way.
Me too.
Kyle Connor says early 90s swimming pool locker room green enters the equation. Man, we're coming up with the color coding for this. We got the diabetes in the house. How's it going, man? Double D says that green would be sweet on a 1989 Chevy Beretta.
Nice. That's so right, though.
I did not like that year I did not like the Beretta.
No. I just saw one for the first time yesterday in like a decade.
So I'm getting some call outs for where I can find these Curtises right now. And I know that Old Dominion mentioned on the comment section of my my overview of where you can find the flipper delete version of this guy. And they do still have some there. But I kind of like, now that I've held this one, it wouldn't feel right for me to buy one that looked exactly like this. Not because I don't like this color scheme. I think this is gorgeous. But because when I go out and I spend money like this, I want it to feel new to me. And so they actually do have some on DLT. They don't have any with the flipper delete, but so these dropped recently, the large F3s, and those sold out on DLT like instantly. They've got some the compact flippers, which I think with that big old finger cutout would probably still fit my hand okay.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that they have right now.
Man.
I do like big knives. Like, by the way, for anyone that didn't see the short that I released today, I'm going to be doing a dedicated overbuilt knife carry for the next 30 days where either I carry this one or my Midgards Berserker, and the third one is my Strider AR, which is kind of cheating because I did carry that solid for like 2 weeks. But this weighs almost 12 ounces.
Oh,
like it's a brick. Got an attitude adjuster on there too.
You could like literally throw that at somebody.
I would injure someone. Like I wouldn't even have to open it.
Jesus.
It's a brick, doubles as a boat anchor on the weekends.
Dude, that's awesome.
But so these were just recently getting called out in the chat. I believe this is it. The torched stonewash titanium. Look at that color shift.
Yeah.
Like that's cool, man.
Yeah, definitely.
That one's the Spanso. And then we got more of the early 90s swimming pool green. That's the color your hair turns when you bleach your hair and then jump in a pool with chlorine. Oh, man. This one, I have a feeling, looks better in person than it does in pictures. Some knives just don't translate well to pictures, but I have a feeling that this one would actually turn out well.
Fair enough, yeah.
Maybe.
I can see that.
So I've already decided that at some point in the future, I will be getting a Curtis Customs F3. I think I'd be happy with either the large F3 or a medium. It's got to be one of these blue colors. But what I've noticed is...
How big's the full size, like overall length?
So keep in mind, the medium, it comes in at like 7.7 inches, right?
Yeah, it's
so
under 8.
Right. It doesn't feel like it. Like this knife, I can get a full 4-finger grip on this guy.
Okay.
No problem. And it also has that generous finger cutout up front, so you can get a nice choked up grip. Not that I have the largest hands. I've got like average man hands. They're large to extra large size gloves. And because the gloves are always made in parts of the world where people have smaller hands, that's why it's a large to extra large. The large ones, though, the large ones come in at 8.8 inches. It's a big jump. It's a full inch.
Okay, I was gonna say like maybe 8.5 is what I was expecting, or like 8.4.
Yeah, the blade is 3 3/4 on this guy. Look, and it's even got Sezzle. Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh, so Sezzle.
Dude.
I think I'd be happy with a large one too.
Yeah.
At the same price, like you get more, like you don't pay more, you get more. You know, like I appreciate the fact that it was recognized, you know, at this price point, the cost should not be affected by an inch worth of materials.
Yeah.
You know, you spend that much, you get the one that makes sense for your situation. Do you want a bigger one or a larger one? But ironically, you go down to a smaller one, like a much smaller one, like this compact, which is 6 1/4 inches in overall length. You save $100.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
I don't mind the way that looks, honestly. I have a feeling that if I bought one this small, I'd be spending a lot of time wishing that I had bought a bigger one.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I think the medium seems to be a nice compromise between like carryability and usability. I mean, I don't know if you plan on having this as like a safe queen or a user.
I'd use it.
Yeah, I think the medium, the proportions of the medium are really nice. I'm not going to lie.
So normally I reserve yellow for Corvettes, but that actually kind of looks good too. It's one of those colors where either you love it or you hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yellow for Corvettes is like almost exclusive. Corvettes and Ferraris are the only two cars that can be yellow.
I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
Salamando says
like a honey kind of yellow, but anyways, yeah. Go
I was gonna say Salamando says that it still is as long as it doesn't spontaneously combust. I think they were talking about cars.
Yeah, he was talking about I can't remember who, Old Dominion's Pinto.
Oh man, Pintos, a different time, a different era,
but still somehow legendary because we all know what that car is.
You know what I love? While we're on that topic, I love when people take an old Pinto and then they soup it up.
Oh yeah, drop a V8 into it and just hit the town. Yeah, hell yeah!
Like man, ready to race for pinks. So this is a good shout out since we were talking about Curtis's. Old Dominion EDC says North River Outdoors does custom anno on some of their Curtis's. You can put in a request.
Ooh,
that's solid. I did not know that. Todd Carr says Sezzle is the devil. It really is. It's the enabler. It's okay. You're not spending $700. You're spending $32.07 per month.
Right.
Sezzle. The Sezzle the enabler. What kind of, are there any knives that you're super stoked on that are coming out here soon?
So there is going to be a CKF collaboration coming out very soon that I am very excited about, because it's going to be a collaboration with Bob Trezzola, and it is not going to be cheap at all. It's going to be about the price of this Curtis Custom, but I don't care. It's a Bob Trezzola, and it's not a chopped down size version of a Bob Trezzola like we've always gotten from like We or Fox or whoever. It's true full size Bob Trezzola. We're talking like 4-inch plus blade, full thickness. It's I'm so eagerly awaiting this knife. You have no idea.
Is it the Eagle Rock knife?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I think you mentioned this the last time. Why is that such a bad picture? Are they trying to hide the design? What's going on here?
No. They have there's a video of it actually that just kind of came out. I can pull it up real quick. But this thing is, I'm super stoked about.
Is this
Absolutely
it?
Super stoked. Let's see.
The Trezzola Eagle
I love
Rock?
that they're hiding it. Yeah, it's definitely the Trezzola Eagle Rock.
Nice. That has a bit of an Emerson feel to it.
Emerson was inspired, by Bob in a lot of ways.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This one was 1,800.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's like bare bones basic Bob Trezzola is like $1,800, So the fact that you're going to be able to get one for around like somewhere between $650 and $750, like, take my money. Like, I'll never be able to, like, because also getting a Bob Trezzola, you've got to enter like lottos, or you got to go to the shows, and it's just like his books are constantly closed. It's damn near impossible, So that's number one. Number two, Fox Knives is about to release a Pikal version of their karambit. So a reverse edge Fox Knives, which I am, all of the fun of the karambit just with the reverse edge, man. Like,
I'm a fan of that. I know that what's his name, Bastinelli did that with one of his designs too, where he flipped the side that had the edge on it. Speaking of just take my money already, you had to release that teaser of the knife that you're working on right now.
Yes.
So if I were to go to like your Instagram, do you have those pictures?
No, I don't. Those were like a YouTube viewer kind of exclusive, but I will announce something here because you're having me on. The prototypes are scheduled to arrive on Monday. Yes. And I am setting up a pass around group, and you will be getting the invite very shortly.
So Sharif is making, for those of you who didn't know, his designs are phenomenal, and he's making his own branded. Like, it's not going to be under Kubi. It's not going to be under. It's being OEM'd by Kaiser.
Yes, sir.
But it's under your own brand, the Mangana Steel brand, right? And oh my goodness, if
that up right there.
Yes, Absolutely. Yes. I'm telling you right now, mine is going to be the one with the purple haze fat carbon fiber.
Oh yeah.
And the moment, like, don't do me like microtech, man. You let me know the moment I can put in, I want it. That's so good.
Dude, I'm meeting with my website guy tomorrow to do a full like rebuild of the website and set up like a shopping backside and all of this to it. So yeah. Now here's the thing. This is going to be limited to 300 units total, potentially ever. There's going to be 2 versions available, so each version is only going to have 150 units available. Yes. So it's going to be super limited run.
So you said there's going to be 2 versions. What's the difference between the 2 versions?
So one is going to have the fat carbon scales for sure. And I'm trying to decide between the white and the natural micarta scales for the other one. So a lot of people like the white, like G10, but I'm very picky about the feeling of my G10. And these are going to be like smooth G10. So they're not going to have texture to them. They're going to be more like what Spyderco used to do back in the day.
So when you say smooth G10, do you mean kind of like petrified fish?
No, I mean like this, like almost like a polished, smooth, where you can see like the grain structure.
So kind of like the Shaman.
I haven't handled a Shaman, but yeah.
So so here's the thing. People really love the Shaman, right? It's like one of their most popular designs ever.
Yeah.
I don't like the G10 on here because it's not as easy to grip. And that's one of the reasons why I knew when I bought it. Yeah. Rather, I did a swap for it, but I knew when I got this that I was going to have to switch out the handle scales. And I didn't have that feel. Like, I'm still undecided if I want to do that to my PM2 or not, because the PM2 just carries so well for me. This guy, the handles are polished, and I don't necessarily like that. Like, I like how they're shaped, where it's contoured over the edges. That's good. Ergos are phenomenal for that. But like that, you can see where the texturing should be. There's no texturing. It's smooth. And my vote's for micarta.
I'm with you there. And that's why I really want to see what it's like in hand. Because when Spyderco did this guy, this is the Brad Southard Knives Hanan, right? Little EDC knife, right? When they did this smooth G10, it's somehow incredibly grippy despite being smooth. And if I can't get this kind of grippiness out of it, then I'm not going to do it, because that's what I want, right? Like every knife I own, like I have to be able to retain the knife in my hand. You know what I mean? And it's one of the things I'm always worried about with G10 is it can also feel very cheap and plasticky. So if I even have a hint of that, like again, G10 is out, you know?
Right.
So I'm it's going to be under a lot of analysis. I'm not going to lie.
Hey man, you know what? Like I've got high expectations. I've seen what you're capable of. That's the problem with overachieving is that you set the bar for yourself. By the way, shout out to Top Dog, moderator in the chat, also at the 1 month membership mark. Thank you for all your support and for supporting the chat. He says, while I am here after a plumbing disaster. That sounds awful. I'm honored that you had a plumbing disaster and you still opted to come hang out. Look, when I have plumbing disasters, you won't see me. probably for the best. But thank you for the 1 month, and thank you for joining us. Hell yeah. But Sharif, you know when that knife is available. Like, instantly let me know, slot me in. I want the Purple Haze fat carbon fiber. The white G10 looks really good. I think my vote is definitely for the micarta though.
Definitely. I mean, I'm gonna put these guys through the ringer. I'm also gonna be sending I think the white G10, we agreed to transparent knives so he can HRC test the blades. So I can confidently assert what the actual HRC is. Because if the HRC needs to change, I'm going to tell Kaiser, like, you're not going to do my knives unless you can guarantee a higher HRC. Because I'd rather not do it than put out something generic and shitty.
Holy crap, man. We got another legend in the house, Everyday Minimalist. Shout out to Brandon. Everyday Minimalist is he says, does he look at the chat? I look at the chat. I'm slow, like an old Pinto, like an old Ford Pinto, but I do look at the chat. Shout out to him. And I would say, make sure you're following Everyday Minimalist. But if you've looked at his follow, he's got like 500,000 subscribers. You probably already follow him. That's awesome. Welcome in, man. Glad to see you in there. Salamando says, I can do micarta, but dang, white G10 looks sick with the contrast and the bolster. It looks amazing. And you know what? The way a knife looks plays such a large role in how much we enjoy it, right?
Truth. Yeah.
But, and this is a big but for me. Big but. The big but for me is that there are knives that break that rule. For example, Spyderco Paramilitary 2 is ugly as sin, but we love it to pieces because it's such a good knife. Like I said it's an ugly knife, but I love it anyways because it's such a good knife. They did everything right. And I've been brainwashing myself to say, you love the way this looks. But the truth is, when I first got into knives, I thought they were hideous. And but I still love it. I still
fair enough, man.
Willfully went out and bought 8 Spydercos. So there's something to be said because the way a knife looks is going to affect if we carry it at all. But a good knife will shine through regardless. And I think that once people get the micarta in their hands, it's over, man. Yeah. The micarta is just a better feel.
That's another thing for me also. I'm going to be very picky about the feeling of the micarta as well. I am not too proud to say that I think currently the best micarta in the game from all of the manufacturers is actually coming from Bestech. The texture and the feeling of it is just, I think it bests Riot, if I'm 100% honest.
That's a bold claim because Riot has been known to be at the top of that mountain for quite a while. And then I would say that even We Knife Company, but Bestech is doing some really amazing things lately. But you know what? They have to, because you look at the price point on some of these new knives they're coming out with, and they're directly competing dollar for dollar with Riot and with We Knife Company. And when you do that, you've got to deliver. So when I see a $300 knife from them, or a $360 knife, I'm like, they've got to deliver. But every time I get a kombu knife in hand, a kombu design, it's always fantastic.
Like, I have no shortage of Riot-made knives in micarta. Actually, I probably have more Riot knives or Riot-made knives than anything else. And I'm speaking from real hand usage that, like, I feel Bestech's just, it feels luxurious rather than just good enough. You know?
I recently got in a batch of new Bestech models, most of which have not been released yet. And the Mothis was one of them. And the Mothis was a knife that we looked at on this live stream like 2.5, 3 months ago before they released. And I've got to say, like, that knife is just so well done. The fit and finish is perfect. The B-lock is really stiff, but it broke in incrementally, like right away within a few days. And I could say, like, yeah, this is a $300 knife. It feels and it looks like a $300 knife.
That's sick.
The lock is stiff. It's not going to be for everybody. I'm not going to get a chance to rank it because I didn't have it for long enough to be able to rank it. But I am glad that I got a chance to hold one. And I think now that I have, I'd want to go with the hand rub finish.
Ooh.
I think that's the way to go.
Nice. Dude, down the line, there's another company that I'm looking at for potential handle materials called Carbotie. And they are doing some really, really impressive materials on the level of like fat carbon or beyond. I know Shirogorov has been using them, and they've been on my radar for a bit. So you may see some Carbotie scales in the future with me. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I think that the knife community is hungry for new premium materials. You know, we've gotten so much carbon fiber, titanium, aluminum, and G10. And unfortunately, Grivery, however you say it, it's awful. It's time for a new premium material. And until manufacturers start bringing down the cost of manufacturing for zirconium, we need something else. We need another option. What do you like?
Zirconium's an interesting material. I mean, like, I have this Wingman EDC, and these whole black sections here, that's zirconium.
Really?
Yeah. And it's really nice, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm not as geeked about it as everybody else, to be honest. Like, it's definitely tells me a knife is premium, but I don't feel like it's got a texture, you know, or something overly different than like a mildly textured titanium. You know,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So I think I got a question for you from the chat. Rob Nice in the chat says, "How does that micarta compare to others?"
If we're talking about the bestech, there's a softness to it that it's not like it's spongy. It doesn't like compress, you know, or anything like that. It just feels, the best way I can describe it is like if you've ever dated a girl who's really crazy about the thread count of her sheets, it just feels like a higher thread count.
They all are. They're all crazy
about
the thread count. Everyone I've ever met.
Right.
You're the first man I've talked to that's mentioned thread count. The rest have been women.
I know, because I've been berated about it. Like, girl was like staying in my bed and like, your sheets are so scratchy. What's the thread count?
Like, wait, I can filter my my cart at Bed Bath and Beyond by thread count. What is this? Like, this was on sale.
Exactly.
I don't think about thread count. Like, I'm married now. I leave my wife to do that because like that's her jam. I couldn't tell you what a good thread count is, like 800, 10,000. I don't know. That's not my thing. But
I can sleep on a burlap sack, man. Like, come on.
So, funny story about me. When I first moved to Denver, and because I'm not always from here, but when I first moved here, like I went with what I was comfortable with because I didn't want to deal with buying a bed and you know, the shipping and everything. And I was living by myself at the time. I got a queen sized air mattress that was like 3 feet tall, like one of the big old boys, you know?
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I loved it so much that I kept it. I just slept on that air mattress. Like, why wouldn't I like sleeping on air, right? Apparently that's trashy, not classy, but I liked it. and then my then girlfriend, now wife, joined me, and she's like, nah, it's got to go. It doesn't have the right thread count. So then we got a real bed, and I still miss my air mattress.
Yeah,
good times. Good times. I Love Knives says, off to go to bed. Good night, everyone. Hey, thanks for dropping by. Definitely appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good seeing you. I Love Knives.
Greg Vanderlip says, sounds like denim type micarta feel. So since we're talking about denim micarta, guys, if you want a good knife that you can feel really good about in the budget price range, the Petrified Fish PFP03, the Victor, this knife is so solid at like $45. The blue denim micarta is a new color spec for them. I got this one on Amazon. I saw that you could get in on the pre-orders like in January, but they weren't shipping until February. I think it was for the New Year's. I think that's what was the delay. But I finally got one. This, it's so good. And some people, when I showed off this knife initially, a lot of people's reaction was, well, why would I spend my money on that when I could just save up and buy a much, much, much more expensive knife? If you haven't bought that more expensive knife yet, then I totally 100% hear you. Save up, buy that more expensive knife. There will be more of these. But if you've already done that and you're wondering why you need something like this, it's because it's so freeing to have this in your pocket, knowing how much you enjoy it and not being afraid to use it for the things that we shouldn't be using our knives for. It's $45 with good micarta, really good action. It's running on bearings. It's not a small knife, like plenty of room in here. It's got a lanyard hole if you like lanyards. And it's a Bowie shaped clip point. Like, come on.
There's nothing wrong with any of that.
No, well, there is something wrong with it. This clip is hideous. It's highly functional, but on an aesthetics level, it's hideous. This chrome reminds me of Walmart spinners. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But check it out, $45 and you get a really decently sized matching micarta backspacer, a flipper tab that works really good, full size blade. Lefties might not like that they can't reverse flick this because they only have the deployment hole on one side, but it's a completely sterile blade on the show side. Look at that.
That's how you do it.
Like $45? Nothing I've touched in 2023 has come close to this yet.
Dude, do you have a link for them for Amazon?
I do.
Like an Amazon affiliate?
I do, actually. And I put it in my review that I dropped of that knife the other day. No, it's a good knife. I spent my own money on it before I reviewed it. I knew I was going to like it, and I love it. Been getting a lot of pocket time.
You should definitely share your link with the people in the chat so that they can pick one up. Because I agree with you, man. There's nothing more freeing. Because, like, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a snob nowadays. Like, most of the knives I carry around, like, $200 or more, you know? And there's just something really, really nice about having, you know, like, my go-to has always been the Ontario Rat, you know? And I'll just do ungodly things with that rat. And, you know.
All right. So I'm about to drop a link in the chat for those who are interested. This is my 100% seal of approval. So Petrified. Oh, I can't spell today. The Victor. screw a model number. It's the Victor. It wins. It absolutely wins. 1,000,000%. I can recommend this with a full heart, knowing that if anyone buys it, they're not just going to like it, they're going to love it. I went to work, and I have a work friend who I got into knives, and he didn't just like dip his toe in the pool. He went and bought like $3,000 worth of Spydercos, like 4 different Mannix 2s, whatever. I handed him one of my like $600 knives, and then I handed him the Victor. I was like, tell me which one you think feels better. Like, he's not a knife nut. He just dove into the rabbit hole. And he said it was the Victor. Like, he's like, 100% this one. Oh, Oreo Dave with the 2 bones says, you missed what's the Pinto of the knife world. The Pinto of the knife world has got to be the Spyderco Para 3. And I love it to pieces, but it is the Pinto. We all love it. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. What do you think the Pinto of the knife world is, Sharif?
You know what it's got to be? Like, at least the one that's completely ridiculous but is still somewhat usable is that Spyderco that they did that is like the little dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super Japanese. It mixes playfulness with utility, and kind of a little bit of unexpectedness in there. The Japanese are very good at that design-wise. But yeah, man, every time I look at that, I'm just like, man, like, really?
What is it? The Spyderco dog. It's the...
I don't remember the name. I just call it the dog knife.
I know it has the tail that flips out.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
That's the exact one.
We're going to find it. Blade HQ always has these on lock, man. If I filter...
Oreo Dave said it's the pup.
Is it the pup? I think you might be right.
Pochi.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know which one we're talking about, it's this guy. It's got a tail.
Yeah.
It's so cute. It overall length, just shy of 4 inches. $231.
Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. But look at this thing. Like, how many knives do you have that look like a dog and have a tail?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. If that thing was like, let's say $60, $70, I'd actually consider buying it just for the novelty factor. You know?
I think that the ceiling for this is about $145. Maybe because this one's got S45 VN. Like, hear me out. This is Spyderco Para 3 money, in my opinion, because it's S45 VN. This one I think is made in Taiwan. Yeah, it's a Taiwan. So it's got their really good fit and finish. People don't understand just how good the Taiwan factory is with their fit and finish. It's better than the Golden factory. And listen, I live in Denver. Like, I could spit and hit Eric Glesser right now. I won't. But the Taiwan factory is where it's at for Spydercos. If you like Spydercos and you like good fit and finish, the Taiwan factory does all of their super premium work. It is it titanium? What is that? Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's a tiny amount of titanium. I mean, that knife is really small. Like, you get half a knife's worth of titanium in that knife. But I have a feeling that it's expensive because of how difficult it is to manufacture smaller knives.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's got a tail.
I will tell you, I do own a knife kind of like this. If you do a Google image search for the Tosa, Tosa, whale knife, as in a bluefin whale or sperm whale, I'll point out which one it is.
So what's the name of it?
It's the Tosa, Tosa, fin whale, I believe. Fin whale.
Let me Tosa. Is it Tosa?
Yeah, fin fin whale knife. It should be the first result on Google image search.
What? Oh, that's fantastic.
I own this knife.
Oh, hey, $60. $60 though.
Right?
It's made in Japan. Japan has some good factories out there.
But dude, I mean, this is what I was talking about. The Japanese are really excellent at intermixing something like fun and joyful with something that is useful, you know? And every time I use this, it just makes me smile like something stupid.
Oh, this is hilarious, man. If you look at the description, it says a fin whale knife made of high carbon steel. We don't know what kind of high carbon. It could be 9CR. Do we know?
No idea.
High carbon, good enough. By a master blacksmith in Tosa, Japan, originally designed for children to sharpen their pencils. They still sharpen pencils?
I guess so. I mean, if they're not using, dang, the name of the style of blade is escaping me. I mean, maybe they use this. This is so much more fun, you know?
Oh man, just this image in my head of like school kids in class, like.
Right?
Shaving off way too much pencil. That's what I would do.
Yeah, tell me that thing isn't absolutely awesome. It just doesn't bring a smile to your face.
Oh, it's fantastic. That is fantastic. Looks like you can get this one, the Minkle whale.
Yeah, there's several different ones. It's a whole series. I thought about collecting every single one of them just for fun.
There's this one, the Kujira. That one looks like a push dagger.
Mm-hmm.
They also sharpen pencils. All right, I got to see this one. What is their reasoning? There's no. You're not handing this to a tiny Japanese kid to sharpen pencils. Look at that. That's gnarly, man. Think about unboxings, right? Like doing live unboxings with those. All right.
So silly, but so amazing.
All right. Todd Carr says probably something like American 1084 or Japanese SK5. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Glassy says an expensive pencil sharpener. Hey, $60 though.
$60 for a smile on your face every time you use it?
This one's $52.
There you go.
Look, all day. Here we go. The sperm whale. This is it. This is the one. The mink whale. The humpback.
the fish. You gotta get one, and you gotta like totally big it up to your wife. Just be like, "Oh man, you can't believe how much I spent on this knife.
This is the one.
This is the last knife I'm ever gonna need." You know, and then like open it up for her, do like a big unboxing, and just like hand it to her.
The gloves. Break out the gloves, like the white gloves.
Yes. Yes.
The hard part would be keeping the straight face. Like, man, I don't play poker. I don't do straight faces very well.
I remember the first time like my dad came over and he saw it because I keep it with like, I use it for unboxing stuff. Like if an Amazon package comes, you know, and he looked at me He picked up the knife, looked at it, looked at me, and he was like, "Are you fucking serious right now?"
You know, out of all the knives that I thought you might suggest we take a look at tonight, this was not on the list. Believe it or not, this was not on the list. But I'm so glad that it ended up here. The fin whale.
Yeah, dude. So awesome.
That is cool. I do like that. I'm gonna have to get one. I don't know. I don't know if I can do if I could do the humpback. That one might be a little aggressive, but we'll see. Patina Turner. I don't think I've said hey to Patina Turner. How's it going? Good to see you in the chat.
Dude, I got to tell you what Patina did for me today, by the way. So Patina, like, I think it was Monday, called me, and I was like busy doing like a live or something, and I missed his calls, and I saw like he had called me like a bunch of times, like one after the other. So I called him like right back right away, and he was just like, "Dude, I need your address." And I'm like, "Are you gonna try and come kill me? Like, what like, what's going on?" He's like, "Dude, just give me your address. Let me just give me your address. It's time sensitive." So I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever. Here it is." Today in the mail came a copy of Bob Trezzola's book, you know, the tactical knife guide, hand signed by Bob Trezzola himself. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Patina is a G, dude. He got me one of my most treasured possessions, you know, like ever by doing that. Like,
that's incredible.
He's an amazing guy.
The knife community never ceases to amaze me. There's always going to be those few undesirables, right? But
sure,
by and large, the vast majority of the people in the knife community are just good people. You know, like,
dude, there's the best.
There's the scalpers, but I don't really feel like the scalpers are actually even a part of the community. They're more like the mosquitoes that feed on the community.
Totally.
And then there's but for the most part, I've met so many good people. Like, for example, shout out to I Am Banks, who sent me this limited set of playing cards. And this is crazy, man. So I didn't know this, but apparently playing cards are just as limited, and the fanatics are even just as crazy as they are in the knife world. Metal magnetic case for these guys. This is the what is it? It's the VXD Gaming US patent. Like, they made these in limited quantity. These like frozen ice. Like, I haven't taken it out of the plastic, man, but like, these cards are absolutely, wow. It's called Frozen Metal. This one is $398 out of $499. And we were talking about EDC and like knife collecting, and he said he was big into cards, and I checked out his Instagram and I was like, damn, that's really cool. He's like, I'll send you some. I'm like, what? Like, so here I have some really sweet limited cards that I don't have, like, I can't unseal these. And then ironically, Oreo Dave sent these. These are less expensive, but no less cool. This is the limited edition Star Wars deck from Theory 11, and these are fantastic.
Yo, I'm with you right there. I got the 007 and Mandalorian sets.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Dave, I've been digging these cards, man. These cards, the Theory 11 cards, fantastic. Absolutely love these. I don't play cards very often, but when I do, I'm usually getting my ass kicked by my wife at a game of cards. Cribbage. She's really good at cribbage. I'm okay. I've won a few times. She let me win, but they still count. But either way, having nice cards to play with is where it's at.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. Well, guys, we're about an hour and 45 minutes in, and normally I don't like my lives to go too terribly long, because for many viewers it is like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. But before we go, just going to catch up with the chat a little bit, see if I missed anything. And Sharif, thank you, man. 2 weeks in a row. I can't believe I got you on here 2 weeks in a row.
Hey,
I'm excited for your new knife that's going to be dropping for the pre-order soon. You know, like, we got the limited info only here on this live. Like,
yes.
I keep tabs on your channel. I keep tabs on the Instagram. We heard it here first, and I'm really excited. Put me down for a purple haze fat carbon fiber. You already know, man. And definitely let me know.
I'll drop a little extra teaser too. Keep an eye out in the next couple of months from some things with Kubi. That's all I'll say.
see what you're doing, and it's working. Sharif, thank you again, man. You have a permanent invite to my Wednesday live streams. Whenever you want, whenever you feel like coming on, you're always welcome. I'll make sure to drop you a link. And guys, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go check out his channel. I'm pretty sure Oreo Dave has linked this before, but Sharif M, we're getting the sub count up there, man. It wasn't that long ago that it looks like your sub count has doubled. Keep it up. You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm already subscribed. I watch all the time. And yeah, so make sure you go to his channel and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Other than that, guys, happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. We're almost to the weekend. And I'm excited because we got more knife content coming. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Everybody, it's been awesome.